right, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Adam Penna, and I'm here to continue the conversation in 3D printing and additive manufacturing. I'm very excited today to have Kristin Mulherin today. She is going to talk a little bit more about what's been going on in her life over the last year, especially the last few months with everything we've been going through in this pandemic. But she's also president of AMCubed, and also part of the board of directors at Women in 3D Printing, who has an awesome event coming up July 21st for an Aerospace. It's an Aerospace panel. So welcome, Kristin. Great to have you here.
Great. Thanks so much. I'm really happy to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a good time. I know that right now you've had so much going on, so I'm excited that you took a moment of time to talk about some of the things you've been doing and also what's been going on. I know there's a great panel that you've been hosting. I think I got to tell you, to me, you're one of the best moderators out there because you do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, that's going to be exciting. We get to more about that panel coming up on July 21st, but I know that you've had amazing background in 3D printing and you've been at a lot of amazing companies like Northrop Grumman, all the way to HP and everything in between. We're at LPW, of course, doing a lot of great work. And even before that, I was a fan of, you've been in materials development, just kind of really digging into what can be done and what's possible, and then bridging that up into 3D printing and additive manufacturing and going through all the development you've been through. So how was that initially, just kind of what got you into looking into material development, or what made you focus on that for a path?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, it's really what I studied in school. I mean, it comes back to that, and it was kind of a process of elimination, to be honest. I knew I wanted to study engineering. I've always liked engineering, math and science and physics and stuff. And it was just a process of elimination. I knew I didn't want to be a civil engineer or an electrical engineer, and it just kind of slowly through, like, I think everyone, when you're in school, you just kind of slowly be like, okay, well, I don't want to do that, and I want to do that, and then you go down the path and ended up on material science.
Yeah, I did that with architectural engineering. I was looking into being an architect, and all of a sudden I noticed that the mechanical engineers got paid a lot more, and so I just was like,
Oh, there you go.
And then I was taking it from board drafting to then taking it to doing it inside the computer, and then being able to do 3D CAD designs, and from there the rest is history. So I could understand that.
It's totally one of those things where you as well, you don't realize like they're different than what you expect. Like I thought I wanted to be a chemical engineer to start, but then I realized that chemical engineering has very little chemistry in it, which was really kind of took me aback. Whereas material science has a lot more chemistry.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of ended up going material science as well.
Yeah, that's real interesting. And I'm sure getting into things how was it when you started at Northrop, right? Was that your first jump into it?
So when I first got out of grad school, I was materials and processes engineer at Northrop. So that was, like a lifetime ago. And I did that for a couple of years. We built guidance systems for missiles, actually. And that was my first job out of school.
Nice. Now, where was that Northrop location, if you don't mind?
Down in LA.
In LA,
yeah,
okay,
down in
cool.
LA, Woodland Hills specifically.
Nice. Yeah, I was over in Florida, so I knew that location over there.
Oh gosh, there's like a million locations.
They're all over, but that's why I was like, which one?
Like 7-Eleven.
Every corner.
Aerospace and defense industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good start. And I have to ask about the HP experience, because it looked like it was right at the time when they were just, of course, getting into the 3D printing side. So what was that like? I mean, that time there must have felt like a lifetime because of how much it was packed with activity. Yeah.
Well, I joined when they were launching the metal jet printer. So that's what I was brought on to help with that launch. But MJF had been around for several years, at that point. But that metal jet, I was one of the first people on the business side of things for metal jet. And I think I was like the second or third employee on the product management side. So that was, it was super exciting. I mean, it was fun to be a part of something that I still truly believe is going to change the industry once once it really starts to ramp up. I mean, the printers are still not even out yet officially. So once that really takes hold, I think it's going to be exciting. And it was fun to be there at the beginning. Sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that being a mature technology out there, because there's a lot that could be done with it. So that's great.
Yeah, it's different. It's gonna change things. I think definitely the technology, that and the desktop metal machines. I think they're it's a whole new. We're gonna be able to do a lot higher volume part volumes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. I guess that's what it comes down to, of course, is cost per part. You want to make the best possible part you can, but then of course, some of it might be a little,
speed as well. Being able to do fast parts, with a high quality. You couldn't do that before until you had the binder jet technology that both Desktop Metal and HP have.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing how that goes. Yeah, so that was an interesting part of your career there. That's what, developed as you went along.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the tail end. So it started at Northrop, and then I did a bunch of stuff in the middle, and then I did HP at the end
Yeah,
at the end, before I started my own business. But
yeah,
it was, yeah, it was an interesting journey, because what happened was I left Northrop with the intention of essentially joining a startup. Or I wanted to be in a part of an entrepreneurial environment. I wanted to start my own company, or I wanted to join, something at early stage. And that's what I ended up doing when I joined a company called American Elements. And we grew and we grew and grew. And then I left, and then I joined LPW, which was a little bit bigger. And then I worked for Thermo Fisher, which was quite,
yeah,
huge. And then I
yeah,
was at HP, and it was just this funny transition, because when I left Northrop Grumman, I left because I wanted to get away from the big corporate culture. And all of a sudden,
yeah,
whatever it was, 15 years, 20 years later, I'm at HP, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like,
yeah.
this was never my intention. I really want to work for small, high growth companies. And so that's when I decided to leave and start my own company, because I realized I kind of got off my entrepreneurial track.
Yeah, yeah, and so that's when you started AMCubed then, right? And
Yeah.
getting into that, I guess, bringing all that background into what you're doing now. That's a huge passion, obviously, and built upon a foundation of experience. So this has been
Mm.
an interesting year to do that. How has that been over the last year?
It's been great. I mean, the situation, the current COVID situation hasn't really affected me really at all. I mean, if anything, it's given me a bit more opportunity, because, because of COVID, I started doing these panel series, and I
Yeah,
started being able to do a lot more. I do quite a few webinars for some of my clients. And so if anything, it's kind of given me a bit more exposure.
sure.
And as a consultant, that's really, what you need is you need exposure to get yourself out there to get new clients from a business development perspective. So
Yeah.
it's, for me, it hasn't, if anything, it's, probably helped my business
Yeah,
backwards.
no, it's wonderful to get that exposure. I
Yeah.
know social media has got a large part to do with it for all of us, but a lot of people
Yeah.
have had a hard time, jumping into that venue. It's been really interesting over the last few months to see all the different things that you've been involved in. There's been a lot of different online events and panels and
Mhm.
discussions, but it's important right now. I think that people get out there and
Well, we all
do
need to feel a sense of, contact with people. I mean, so
exactly.
I've worked
Yeah,
from home for a long time,
me
with
too.
the exception of when I was at HP.
Yeah,
And I've never used my video ever. Like, I just, because I work from home, no one wants to get dressed. You don't want to get ready.
yeah,
But now that COVID's happened, it's been really, actually, I really enjoyed it, because now everyone uses their cameras.
yeah,
And I think it's because we all, especially at the beginning when we were all properly quarantined, you needed that
yeah,
personal interaction. You want to be able to see people.
yeah.
So it's been fun. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, people opening up their cameras that used to not do
Yeah.
that.
And
It's
you get to
it's
see kind of people when they're a bit more who they are, because they're not
yeah,
sitting in a cubicle somewhere or an office somewhere. You get to see, you get to see where, your background and what what the people's lives look like outside of work.
right. And people that are open to collaboration, because that's what it really is. You start having these
Mm,
conversations, and then that leads to something else you weren't quite like even thinking about, but it opens up so many more opportunities. And
totally. Yeah.
I know you even had a quote, so something like that. I think that was one of the first things I noticed when there was an interview that
Uh,
was done with you. You were talking about being open to talking to your community and being out there and
totally.
taking advantage of things like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally. I mean, it's the best thing I've ever done for myself, certainly, is, just the more people you talk to, the more you learn. And that's, again,
yeah,
that's what I love about being a consultant is, I work with service bureaus, I work with machine builders, I work with raw material providers. And every day I get to learn something new, because I'm talking to different people with different backgrounds, ceramics, metals, polymers, whatever. And it's just, it's been the best thing for me. I mean, I've learned so much more in the last year than I have, several years leading up to it, just because
yeah.
you have to put yourself out there, and you have to take risks, and you have to talk to people that you might be nervous to talk to otherwise.
Yeah, that's that startup mentality.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot about taking all the risks, because
Exactly.
you're gonna
Yeah. But I mean,
fail,
I
and then you're
honestly,
gonna
I'm
learn.
very confident in saying
Yeah,
that, and this is what I tell myself when I get nervous about things as well, is every risk I've ever taken, I can't think of one that hasn't ultimately in the long run paid off.
sure.
They always end up paying off. You just got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. It is, and
Yeah. It's
but
nerve wracking.
the more you do it, I like to say it feels better the more you do it, but it doesn't. It's kind of feels the same. You just have to do it, and
Yeah.
then
You get
throw
more
out.
used to it though.
Yeah, get used to it and throw
Yeah.
out the
But
bad stuff
it's
and
always
keep.
nerve wracking. It's good.
Uh,
It's good energy, right? You just got
yeah.
to harness it. My husband's actually a performer, and
Oh,
that's
nice.
something he taught me, is that the nerves never go away, but if you can harness that nerves and put it towards something positive rather than, where you want to go negative,
right,
then you can really do some great things.
Yeah, that's good. Do you mind me asking what kind of performer he is? Is in
Oh,
Portland there?
He's a singer.
Nice. I sang a little bit myself. That's really cool. Yeah. Is he part of the scene up there in Portland, Oregon? There's a lot going on.
No, not so much.
Me being in Austin, Texas, I got to ask that because that's a big part of what happens here too. So I like to take advantage of the local music scene as much as I can. And of course, in these times, that's really difficult. So it's
I didn't know you were in Austin. That's cool.
Yeah. It's I've been here for about 14 years now, and it's been a wild ride here. It's a great town, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities between Austin and Portland, is what I understand.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question. I'm like, well, I bet you're kind of going through the same things in the town, being a little bit different now. Not being able. How is that? Is it opened up there as much? I know now here in Texas we're closing back down a little bit.
We've kind of just halted on everything. We still have pretty low rates, but I think they're holding back on doing too much. We're kind of stuck in the phase one.
Yeah, it gets confusing.
I don't know. We can go out to eat, but we generally sit outside.
Yeah, it's a different time. I know for performers that's got to be tough for people doing things like performing right now. It's a whole new world for all of us. But yeah, so neat. Now the panel series you've been doing for how long now with women in 3D printing?
So I started right after the quarantine started. So so I'm the ambassador for the Portland chapter of Women in 3D Printing.
Yeah.
And what we do, so there's over 60 chapters around the world. And what we were doing originally and how it started was essentially just happy hours. So people in your town, you'd be together for drinks and just chat with people. But then in my local chapter here in Portland, I started doing panels, and they were, I called them pub panels because we usually do them at a bar somewhere. Yeah. And we get, some women, I had a bunch of great panels, with people from HP and 3D Systems and Carbon. And then everyone would come out and we'd all have drinks and do the panel. But then when the quarantine happened, obviously couldn't do that anymore. And so I really wanted to still continue. And I felt like, honestly, I saw it as an opportunity to really then get some really true, like really top-notch speakers, because once we have Zoom, anyone can talk anytime.
Yeah.
So for that very first one I did, it was the leadership panel. And we had Marie Langer, who was in Germany, and then Deborah as well, who was also happened to be in Germany at the time, and Dara Tressiter, who was down in the Bay Area. So we got to have this fantastic panel. Yeah. And it was an opportunity that came out of the fact that we were under quarantine.
Yeah, so that was a great one.
That was the very first one.
Yeah, I was there when that was live, and then I've watched it since. It is a good one. There's a lot of great information in there coming from all the leaders. So yeah, it's good to see that type of stuff. And this new one you have coming up, it's just specifically for aerospace. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the idea is we're going to try to, change the topic every month. It's once a month and change the topic every month. And the one that's coming up here on the 21st is aerospace. So we have the chief engineer from GE Aviation, chief engineer from Boeing, and Ellie Fu from Relativity Space.
Sure.
So it's going to be a good one. And then after that, we're going to do one on sustainability. Nice. So that one's going to be, I'm pretty excited about that. And that one actually came out of, after the first one, I emailed everyone who had attended the first one and said, hey, what do you want to hear? What do you want to listen? Because I want to make sure that it's something people are interested in. So the sustainability one was the one that a lot of people came back and said, hey, I'd love to see one on sustainability. So that one will be in August.
Any sneak peek into some of the speakers? Are there anybody arranged yet?
Yeah, we have, it's a new, it's the American or Additive Manufacturing Green Trade Association.
Yes.
She's the executive director for that.
Yep. Awesome.
We have Cindy.
Talk to her a little bit.
You have talked to her?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. We have Cindy, who's the global head of marketing at Henkel, and Ellen Jakowski, who was just recently named the chief sustainability and social impact officer at HP.
Nice.
So it should be pretty interesting. I wanted to make sure we got for all these panels, I want to try to get some amount of diversity in terms of roles, companies, so we can get differing points of view. So I thought having a materials provider and having the machine builder and then the nonprofit was a nice round.
Yeah, that is.
People.
That is a good group. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah. Yes. So the next one is July 21st, right? The aerospace panel coming up on July 21st. Yes. And that's a Tuesday, if I'm right about that. I think it falls on Tuesday. Yes, yeah, something like that. Where's the calendar when
Tuesday.
You need it? Yeah, that day. So that'll be good. Definitely put a link to that in our conversation here. And
cool. Okay.
Looking forward to seeing it. Anything else that's going on right now that you'd like to share while you're here?
Well, the only other things came up was we've recently announced, so as you mentioned, I'm on the board of directors for Women in 3D Printing.
Yeah.
And we're recently announced our very first annual conference that's going to be next January.
Right.
And that actually, it was intended, we've been planning it for a while, and it was originally intended to be a live conference in person in Denver. But again, with everything that's going on, we're just January, we're not so sure. So many companies right now are still, have extended travel restrictions through next February, we've been told. So we decided to make that one virtual. And it's actually, again, it's kind of, I think it's working out to be better as a result, because we can have so many more people can attend now. We're expecting, several thousand people to sign up for that. We have some amazing speakers that we've been able to get on board, again, because it's all virtual. And we're going to use that same platform that we use for the virtual panels. So we're going to have a lot of networking involved as well. So that's really exciting. That's going to be next January.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different because of the doing the virtual events now. Now we're doing the long-term planning. Everything was kind of been forced or thrown online for the most part, but now it's the long-term planning of these events, and that's where it's going to start to get really neat, because maybe
it gives us an opportunity to get some amazing speakers.
Right.
We're talking to an astronaut that we want to have speak. We're talking to a lot of the senior leaders. They're all on the website. It's type TIPE 3dprinting.com.
Perfect.
And you can see all the speakers we've already got signed up. And so it's just the potential is massive, and we can just get people from all over the world.
Right.
So, it's going to be great, because it gives us a lot of exposure, because the very first one, but next year we are going to planning, the following year, we're planning on making it a live event, because we still want to have, if we can, I miss going to AMA.
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah.
Seeing everyone. I was saying to someone just the other day, it's kind of like, I think when you're in the industry and you get to know enough people, going to those events, it's kind of like a family reunion, and I really miss that. I miss seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is. It's different. It's different this year for everybody. But I think that, like we're saying, opening up our cameras here a little more and just sharing what we're going through, I think, as it goes, and trying to also share all the knowledge that's happening in 3D printing and additive manufacturing. There's so much going on, and it is interesting. So I feel so lucky and grateful that I have that to focus on and to try to improve things that are going on.
As I said, I think we're sharing a lot more, almost in a weird sort of way, because of it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been a weird blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it's a little bit something to learn out of it is, hey, we need to be a little more open with our conversations, because some great things happen from them. So,
well, and I think it'll be really interesting to see, once we go back to being able to go to live events and things again, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how much of this continues. And I hope it does continue. And I think it will, to some degree, because, and even to some degree with regards to people working remotely, there's a lot of talk about, opening that up a lot more. And now we've all been forced to get used to working with Zoom and Google Hangouts and, all the different platforms that we all use. And so I think it's going to be a lot easier going forward to continue doing this in conjunction with also having live events. But I think it'll be a nice balance.
Yeah, it remains to be seen, but I think it's positive. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything negative by doing this at all. It's adding to the community, adding to the conversation, and keep things more open. So more of it, It's just,
I'm a ridiculous
but
I'm a ridiculous silver lining person. I can find a silver lining in anything.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I could. Why focus on the negative when there's always some positive that we could try to make more of? So that's kind of where I stay focused on the positive. Well, good, Kristin. It's been wonderful talking to you again. Looking forward to the event. It's July 21st, and I'll definitely include a link into that and to some more events coming in Women in 3D Printing. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. You have a good day.
Okay.
Take care.
Come on.